Sarah was cleaning her grandmother's old house after the funeral when she found something that would change her life forever. Hidden behind a loose brick in the basement wall was a small metal box covered in dust. Inside the box, she discovered old papers, photographs, and a bank account number written on a piece of yellowed paper. The bank account contained $2 million that her grandmother had saved over 40 years of working as a cleaner in rich people's homes. Her grandmother had never told anyone in the family about this money. Sarah sat on the basement floor holding the papers in her shaking hands. She could not believe what she was seeing. The bank statements showed regular deposits over many years, and the final balance was more money than Sarah had ever imagined. Her grandmother had lived a simple life, wearing old clothes and eating cheap food. But secretly, she had been saving every extra penny she earned. Sarah realized that her grandmother had been planning to leave this money to the family, but she died suddenly before she could tell anyone about it. Sarah put the papers back in the box and hid it under her bed at home. She knew she needed to think carefully about what to do with this discovery. Her family was not wealthy, and this money could help everyone. Her mother worked 2 jobs to pay rent, her brother could not afford to go to college, and her sister needed money for her sick child's medical bills. But something told Sarah to be careful about who she told about the money. For 3 days, Sarah kept the secret to herself. She went to work at the grocery store where she had worked for 2 years, but she could not concentrate. She kept thinking about the money and how it could solve all her family's problems. Every time a customer complained about high prices or her coworkers talked about being broke, Sarah wanted to tell them that she had found enough money to help everyone. But she remembered her grandmother's words about being careful with important information. Sarah decided to go to the bank to confirm that the money was real and that she could legally access it as her grandmother's only heir. The bank manager looked at the papers and confirmed that the account existed and contained exactly $2 million. He explained that since Sarah was listed as the beneficiary, she could withdraw the money anytime she wanted. Sarah felt excited and scared at the same time. She thanked the bank manager and left with the papers safely in her purse. Sarah could not keep the secret anymore. The excitement was too much for her to handle alone. She decided to tell her best friend Lisa about the discovery. Lisa had been her friend since high school, and they had always shared everything with each other. Sarah trusted Lisa completely and believed that telling her would not cause any problems. She invited Lisa to her apartment for dinner and prepared to share the biggest news of her life. After dinner, Sarah brought out the metal box and showed Lisa the papers inside. Lisa's eyes grew wide as she read the bank statements and saw the amount of money. She grabbed Sarah's hands and started jumping around the small living room, screaming with excitement. Lisa said she was so happy for Sarah and that this money would change everything for her family. They spent 2 hours talking about all the things Sarah could do with the money and how it would solve all her problems. Lisa promised Sarah that she would never tell anyone about the money. She said that Sarah's secret was safe with her, and that she understood how important it was to keep quiet about such a large amount of money. Sarah felt relieved to finally have someone to share her excitement with. She had been carrying the burden of the secret alone for 3 days, and it felt good to talk about it with someone she trusted. The next day at work, Sarah noticed that Lisa was acting strangely. Instead of working at her cash register, Lisa kept whispering to other employees and looking in Sarah's direction. When Sarah walked past groups of co-workers, they would stop talking and stare at her. Sarah began to feel uncomfortable and wondered if Lisa had said something about the money. She decided to ask Lisa directly during their lunch break. When Sarah confronted Lisa about the strange behavior at work, Lisa became defensive. She insisted that she had not told anyone about the money and that Sarah was being paranoid. But Sarah could see that Lisa was not telling the truth. Lisa kept avoiding eye contact and changing the subject whenever Sarah asked direct questions. Sarah realized that she had made a mistake by telling Lisa about the money, but it was already too late to take back the information. Within 1 week, Sarah discovered that Lisa had told her boyfriend Mike about the money. Mike was known around town as someone who could not keep secrets and who liked to gossip about other people's business. Sarah found out about this when Mike approached her at the grocery store and made comments about her being rich now. He asked her when she was going to quit her job and buy expensive things with her inheritance money. Sarah felt angry and betrayed that Lisa had broken her promise so quickly. She confronted Lisa again, but Lisa made excuses and said that she only told Mike because they were planning to get married and did not keep secrets from each other. Lisa said that Mike could be trusted and that he would not tell anyone else about the money. But Sarah knew that Mike was not good at keeping secrets, and she was worried about what would happen next. Sarah's fears were proven right when more people at work started treating her differently. Some co-workers began asking her to lend them money for small things, even though she had never had extra money to lend before. Others made jokes about her working at a grocery store when she was secretly rich. Sarah realized that the news about her inheritance was spreading throughout their small town much faster than she had expected. Mike had told his friends at the bar about Sarah's money, and they had told their wives and girlfriends. The wives told their friends at the hair salon, and those women told their neighbors. Within 2 weeks, half the town seemed to know that Sarah had inherited $2 million from her grandmother. People she barely knew would stop her on the street to congratulate her on her good fortune or to ask her for favors. Sarah began to understand why her grandmother had kept the money secret for so many years. Having people know about a large amount of money brought unwanted attention and changed how everyone treated you. Sarah wished she could take back her decision to tell Lisa about the inheritance, but the damage was already done. She decided that she needed to be more careful about protecting the remaining privacy she had left. Sarah had not yet told her family about the inheritance because she wanted to figure out the best way to help everyone fairly. But when her mother called her and asked if the rumors about inheritance money were true, Sarah realized that the news had reached her family through the gossip network. Her mother had heard about it from a neighbor who worked at the same hair salon where the story was being discussed. Sarah's mother was upset that she had heard about the inheritance from strangers instead of from her own daughter. She demanded to know why Sarah had not told the family about the money immediately after finding it. Sarah tried to explain that she wanted to make a plan for sharing the money fairly, but her mother interrupted her and said that the family should have been the first to know about something so important. Within hours of her mother learning about the money, Sarah's phone started ringing constantly. Her brother called to ask how much money there was and when he could get his share to pay for college. Her sister called crying and begging Sarah to give her money immediately for her sick child's medical bills. Her uncle called to remind Sarah that he had helped take care of their grandmother and deserved part of the inheritance. Her cousin called to ask for a loan to buy a new car. Sarah felt overwhelmed by all the phone calls and demands from family members. Everyone seemed to have already decided how they wanted to spend the money, and they all expected Sarah to give them what they wanted right away. Nobody asked Sarah what she planned to do with the money, or how she was feeling about the situation. They only cared about getting their share as quickly as possible. The family pressure became so intense that Sarah had to turn off her phone for several hours each day just to have some peace. But this made her family members even more angry, and they started showing up at her apartment and her workplace to talk to her about the money. Sarah realized that finding the inheritance had created more problems than solutions for her life. She began to understand that having money brought complications she had never considered before. As news of Sarah's inheritance continued to spread through the town, strangers began approaching her with business ideas and investment opportunities. A man named Tom, who owned a failing restaurant, asked Sarah to invest $50,000 in his business in exchange for becoming a partner. He promised that she would double her money within 1 year, but Sarah could see that his restaurant was always empty and losing money. A woman named Janet, who sold makeup products, asked Sarah to invest in her plan to expand her business to other towns. Janet claimed that Sarah's investment would help her open 5 new stores and that they would both become millionaires within 3 years. But Sarah noticed that Janet could not even afford to fix her broken car and was behind on paying rent for her current small store space. People who had never spoken to Sarah before suddenly wanted to become her friends and business partners. They would approach her at the grocery store, at the gas station, and even at church with their plans for making money together. Everyone claimed that their idea was guaranteed to make Sarah even richer than she already was, but Sarah could see that most of these people were desperate for money themselves and saw her as their solution to their own financial problems. Sarah's co-worker David asked her to lend him $20,000 to start a landscaping business. He promised to pay her back within 6 months with interest, but Sarah knew that David had never worked in landscaping and had no experience running a business. Another co-worker named Maria asked for $10,000 to help her pay off credit card debt, promising to pay it back from her paycheck over 2 years. The constant requests for money and business partnerships made Sarah feel like she could not trust anyone's motives for being friendly to her. She began to wonder if people wanted to spend time with her because they liked her as a person, or because they hoped to get money from her. Sarah started to feel lonely and isolated, even though more people were trying to talk to her than ever before. She realized that having money had changed not only how others saw her, but also how she saw them. 1 month after the news of Sarah's inheritance became public knowledge, she received a phone call that would teach her an expensive lesson about protecting her financial information. A man calling himself Mr. Johnson claimed to be a financial advisor from a prestigious investment company in the city. He said he had heard about her recent inheritance and wanted to help her invest the money wisely to make it grow even larger. Mr. Johnson sounded very professional and knowledgeable about money matters. He used complicated financial terms and talked about stock markets, bonds, and real estate investments. He told Sarah that she was making a mistake by keeping her money in a simple bank account where it would not grow. He claimed that his company could help her turn her $2 million into $5 million within 3 years through smart investments. Mr. Johnson said that his company only worked with wealthy clients and that Sarah was lucky to have been selected for their special program. He pressured her to make a decision quickly, saying that the investment opportunity was only available for a limited time. He asked Sarah to wire $50,000 immediately as a starting investment to show that she was serious about working with his company. Sarah felt flattered that a professional investment company wanted to help her, and she was excited about the possibility of making her money grow larger. Mr. Johnson had answers for all her questions and made the investment sound very safe and profitable. He gave her a website address to look at and a phone number for his office. Everything seemed legitimate and professional. But when Sarah called her bank to ask about wire transfers, the bank manager warned her to be very careful about investment scams targeting people with recent inheritances. He explained that scammers often found out about people who had inherited money and then contacted them pretending to be financial advisors. The bank manager advised Sarah to research any investment company thoroughly before giving them any money. Sarah realized that Mr. Johnson might be trying to steal her money and decided not to send the wire transfer. Sarah discovered that her longtime friend Lisa had been telling people specific details about the inheritance that Sarah had shared in confidence. Lisa had not only revealed the amount of money, but had also told people about where the money was hidden and how Sarah had found it. She had even shared personal family information that Sarah had mentioned during their private conversations. When Sarah confronted Lisa about sharing these private details, Lisa became angry and defensive. She accused Sarah of becoming selfish and paranoid since inheriting the money. Lisa said that Sarah was acting like she was better than her old friends and that money had changed her personality. Instead of apologizing for breaking Sarah's trust, Lisa blamed Sarah for being upset about the situation. The argument with Lisa became so heated that they stopped being friends completely. Lisa began spreading rumors around town that Sarah was being stingy with her inheritance money and refusing to help people who needed it. She told people that Sarah had promised to share the money with friends, but then changed her mind after getting greedy. These lies made Sarah look bad in the community and caused even more people to treat her negatively. Sarah's other friends began choosing sides in the conflict between Sarah and Lisa. Some friends believed Lisa's version of events and started treating Sarah coldly. They thought Sarah should be grateful that Lisa had kept her secret for as long as she did, and that Sarah was being unreasonable to expect complete privacy about such a large inheritance. Other friends supported Sarah, but admitted they thought she should have handled the situation differently from the beginning. The friendship drama caused Sarah to lose several people she had considered close friends for many years. She realized that the inheritance money had not only attracted fake friends who wanted her money but had also destroyed real friendships that she had valued. Sarah began to understand that secrets about money were more dangerous to relationships than she had ever imagined. She wished she had never told anyone about the inheritance until she had a complete plan for handling it. Sarah's job at the grocery store became increasingly difficult as more coworkers and customers learned about her inheritance. Her manager began treating her differently, sometimes making jokes about why she still worked there when she was rich. Other employees started expecting Sarah to pay for group lunches and office parties since everyone knew she had money. When Sarah refused or said she could not afford to pay for everyone, people accused her of being cheap. Customers who recognized Sarah from around town would make comments while she was working at the cash register. Some people would joke about how she should be shopping instead of working. Others would ask her directly when she was going to quit her job and start living like a rich person. These interactions made Sarah feel uncomfortable and embarrassed while she was trying to do her work professionally. Sarah's coworkers began treating her with resentment and jealousy instead of the friendship they had shared before. When Sarah made small complaints about work tasks or difficult customers, people would remind her that she could quit any time since she was rich. They stopped inviting her to after-work activities and started talking about her behind her back during breaks and lunch periods. The workplace tension became so bad that Sarah's productivity suffered, and her manager had to speak with her about her performance. Sarah tried to explain that the gossip about her inheritance was affecting her ability to concentrate at work, but her manager said that her personal life should not interfere with her job duties. He warned Sarah that she needed to improve her attitude and focus better, or she might face disciplinary action. Sarah realized that she needed to make a decision about whether to continue working at the grocery store or to quit and find a new job where people did not know about her inheritance. But she also knew that in their small town, the news about her money would follow her to any local job she might take. She began to consider the possibility of moving to a different city where she could start fresh without everyone knowing about her financial situation. 3 months after discovering the inheritance, Sarah began receiving threatening letters and phone calls from people who claimed she owed them money or who demanded that she share her inheritance with them. A man named Robert left angry voicemails saying that Sarah's grandmother had borrowed money from his family years ago and that Sarah needed to pay back the debt from her inheritance. When Sarah tried to research this claim, she could find no evidence that her grandmother had ever borrowed money from anyone. A woman named Patricia showed up at Sarah's apartment claiming to be a long-lost relative who deserved part of the inheritance. She had no proof of any family connection and became hostile when Sarah asked for documentation. Patricia threatened to take Sarah to court and said she would make Sarah's life miserable until she got what she deserved. Sarah had never heard of this woman before and was frightened by her aggressive behavior. Sarah started noticing that people were watching her apartment and following her when she went to work or ran errands. She realized that criminals might be planning to rob her or break into her home to look for the money. The bank manager had warned her about this possibility and recommended that she consider moving the money to several different accounts at different banks to make it less accessible to thieves. Sarah consulted with a lawyer about the threatening letters and the false claims against her inheritance. The lawyer explained that people often tried to take advantage of individuals who had recently inherited money by making false legal claims or threatening lawsuits. He advised Sarah to document all threats and to consider hiring security or moving to a safer location until the attention died down. The stress of dealing with legal concerns and safety issues was affecting Sarah's health and mental well-being. She was having trouble sleeping and eating, and she felt constantly anxious about her safety. Sarah began to understand that inheriting money brought not only opportunities but also serious risks that she had never considered. She wished she had prepared better for protecting herself and her inheritance from people who wanted to take advantage of her situation. After 6 months of dealing with the consequences of sharing her secret, Sarah finally decided to take control of her situation. She hired the lawyer permanently to handle all legal matters related to her inheritance. She moved to a city 2 hours away, where nobody knew about her money. She found a new job and started using only her middle name so that people from her hometown could not easily find her. Sarah used part of her inheritance to help her immediate family members with their most urgent needs. But she did it quietly and made them promise not to discuss the money with anyone else. She paid for her brother's college tuition, covered her sister's medical bills, and helped her mother pay off her debts. But she kept the majority of the money invested safely and continued to live modestly to avoid attracting attention. In her new city, Sarah was careful not to display any signs of wealth. She bought a small, ordinary house and continued to work at a regular job. She made new friends slowly and never mentioned anything about having inherited money. When people asked about her background, she gave only basic information and changed the subject to avoid detailed conversations about her past. Sarah learned to recognize the warning signs of people who might be trying to take advantage of her. She avoided anyone who asked too many questions about her finances or who seemed more interested in her money than in her as a person. She also learned to trust her instincts when something felt wrong about a person's motives or behavior. The experience taught Sarah that sharing secrets about money was extremely dangerous and that people could not be trusted with such sensitive information. She realized that her grandmother had been wise to keep the inheritance secret for 40 years, and that Sarah should have thought more carefully before telling anyone about it. Sarah understood that some secrets needed to be protected completely, and that sharing them with even the most trusted people could lead to serious consequences. Sarah's life became peaceful again once she learned to protect her privacy and her inheritance properly. She was able to enjoy the security that the money provided without dealing with the stress and danger of having everyone know about it. She made a promise to herself that she would never again share important financial information with anyone, unless it was absolutely necessary for legal or professional reasons. The lesson had been expensive and painful, but it had taught her the true value of keeping secrets safe.
The end.
Thank you for watching the video to the end. If you find this video interesting, do well to hit the subscription button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell for new stories.